Hey everybody, Tom Barnes, stories from the 78, going down to the south side. Yeah, that's right. Down to Governor State University in University Park, there on the far south side of the city, and burbs and the whole thing. They have a wonderful performing arts center. It's called the Center for Performing Arts, or the Center as they call it. A beautiful facility. They have great productions that come through there on a monthly basis. And I'm going to talk to Scott now. Give me a rundown of that and how this whole thing plays out at Governor State University. How you doing, Scott?
I'm great, Tom. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And happy pre-opening night to you guys. You got a
Oh,
big show starting up tomorrow, right?
we do. We have our Theater and Performance Studies program, which is part of the university itself, Governor State,
Hmm.
is doing their dance program, which is called Dream. And it's basically, attuned to Black History Month and kind of a tribute to Martin Luther King Jr. But it also has a really strong educational base, and that's tomorrow at 7:30. It's one performance because tomorrow, and then on Saturday it's at 2 p.m.
Got it. And this is all part of, you're right in the middle of your 29th season, right?
That's correct. We're in the middle of our 29th season. We're going to be celebrating 30 years. We end in May, and we kind of follow a university schedule. And then most of our summertime is spent with educating youth about the arts and providing experiences to the community.
It's a wonderful. I've been to that facility before. I did a story there a few years back, and
Yeah.
it was my first time at Governor State. I've heard about Governor State so much before that, growing up on the South Side,
Yeah,
but I never had the pleasure of being there. But I remember getting off the expressway, and you do this little roundabout, and it's like kind of right there.
it is.
Um, Beautiful space, though. I mean, that facility you guys have, the art center there is, I mean, it's beautiful. It's state of the art in all the ways, and I imagine it's fun to dive into some of these productions that you have throughout the year.
Yeah, it's really great. Kind of tell this boring story over and over, but we weren't. I'm from the South Side, and so we weren't particularly rich, and so my parents would never let me go to the North Side or downtown to see shows because we couldn't
Uh-huh.
afford that. So all the shows that I saw were actually at Governor State as a youth. I saw my first big tour there. I used to see like madrigal singers there and quartets.
Uh-huh.
But it's kind of grown in its capacity. Now it is kind of a community mainstay, but it is kind of what you said. It's a hidden gem, and we're working really hard to make it a very prominent gem that everybody knows about.
Sure.
So we really appreciate you spreading the word.
Absolutely. Before we move on further, what was the show, the first touring show? Do you remember that
Somebody
you
asked me
saw?
that it was either 42nd Street or a Chorus Line. I think
Oh,
it was 42nd Street. That was the first one that I saw here, which is like a huge, dance show, tap show. And, I didn't even know like theater like that existed because I'd only ever seen things in like basements or like, in Payless Village Players, in a recreation center. So I didn't even know that that was possible for people. So it's a really cool place because it shows an exposure to art to people who normally don't think art is for them or possible. And it's very much a home vibe. It's very, very South Side, very accessible, very easy to get to. Free parking. It didn't feel like elitist. I felt like I could go in there and, be in my sweatshirt and not feel like I was out of place.
yeah. And clearly neither am I. You talking to you
You look
based on what
great
I'm
in
wearing
your
now.
Cubs
I
jersey.
apologize. Thank you. But the we were mentioning about the South Side and growing up. You hit it right on the head, though, because even as a kid growing up on the South Side, you always had this I don't know, the ether of like all the big stuff's downtown. You can't do anything downtown; it's too expensive. And then you had, what you said, different things, church basements, churches did
Right.
things, or local high schools even. I mean, I talked about Stag High School, and
Yeah.
I did some stuff growing up at Stag, but at Governor State there, I mean, that is such a big spot for so many people to enjoy. And you have how many different kinds of, yeah, I would say, how many different shows do you have throughout the year on an average basis? Like
Well,
some play for a few shows
we
or a few weeks, or how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, we do about 151 days of programming, so that's an incredible amount of different types of events. We have about 15
Hmm.
overarching shows. We have main stage shows. We have we have main stage shows. We have arts and education. So we have a huge arts and education program where about 30,000 kids come every year through us. And then we also have cabaret shows, which is really cool. That it's a really big theater. So it's, the stage is about 100 by 100. So people actually sit on the stage at cafe tables. And then we also are a rental house. So we have a lot of like local places like, Lincoln Way and Southland College, prep and schools that use us for civic programming. So we're not only just an entertainment source, we do a lot of civic service. And we're super close to Chicago. So when you talk about that, we're only 30 minutes outside of the actual city. But if you're on the south side, it's a breeze down 57.
As far as like the performers in the plays that come through, are these like, are you tapping the college students coming through? Are these touring groups that come through? Is it a little bit
Thank
of
you.
both? I know certain places are different, so I was just curious.
No, thank you for that. It is, we are a full first class professional venue. So the same stuff you're going to see at the auditorium or the Chicago theater, you're going to see by us for probably a much more reasonable rate. But, you'll see the Nutcracker at Ruth Page downtown at the auditorium, but you'll also see it by us, and it's the exact same thing. And in some cases, it's bigger by us because we have a bigger stage. So it is very much a bang for your buck. Again, I'm very South Side, so I like the bargain that I'm going to get. So you're seeing world class entertainment. We have people coming from all over the world. We've had people come from South Africa. We've had people come from Indiana. We've had people come from New York. But we go to conferences all over the country and we find the best of the best to serve our community, and they come in. And then 3 times a year, we do civic work for the university and the theater arts performance studies programming, which is a really robust arts programming, does shows like Dream, which is tomorrow, that is also within our space.
See, that's great. I was just because we were talking about being Southsiders before,
Yeah,
and Southsiders love a good bargain for sure. And they
sure
don't, and they
do.
love free parking. If there's no free parking, you're not going to get my parents to go anywhere north of Midway Airport. Just not happening. So,
That's right.
the big, big
That's
giant
right.
parking lot where you can get your nice spot if you want to park far away because you got a new car and you want nobody to
That's
mess it
right.
up. You got
That's
that
right.
too,
Mm,
right?
right. Right.
But then I think that's so great though that what you have to offer is the same thing that people might find downtown, but for in some cases probably a fraction of the cost, and then you get to explore another part of the city. Because when you factor in if you got to stay at a hotel downtown and paying for parking alone downtown is ridiculously expensive. So to be able to not have to worry about that at all and enjoy a different part of the area, like if you're from like Naperville and you don't want to go downtown, you want to go to Governor State, that's a easy drive for folks that are in Naperville or Palos Hills or Orland and so on and so forth. So a lot of fun. And you mentioned the show starting tomorrow. What are if folks wanted to round out something, if they couldn't make tomorrow happen, what would you suggest for the a show to catch before maybe the end of May?
Yeah, I mean, I would tell you that March 8th, we have this group called Uptown coming, which is like it's a kind of a comprehensive tribute to Motown all the way to the current era. And they are incredible dancers and singers, and I watch them and I feel vastly inadequate and out of shape. But they're pretty. I mean, they're really awesome. I mean, it's just an amazing show. And then the following week on March 15th, we have a show called Outrageous, which is it's super cool if you like the Blue Man Group. It's very much like the Blue Man Group, but with art. They're like throwing paint everywhere and they're creating artistic, kinesthetic work, and they're tumbling and flipping and doing magic tricks and all things again that make me feel super inadequate. But that's March 15th. And then we continue on with our season. So there are shows in April that come, and then all the way through May. I really encourage you. Thanks for sharing our website out, centertickets.net. You can see we always have something going on, and it also highlights all of the civic work that we're doing, as well as the arts and education programming. So May 10th would be the end of our season, and that's a big Mother's Day brunch, and it's done on the stage. So it's this kind of opera up close series that we do. We also have a really cool cabaret called Rosie and the Rivets, which is kind
Mhm.
of a throwback, cool vibey thing. It's the one thing that my dad says he'll come to because
Oh,
it makes him feel like he's back, in his heyday. So, uh, you know,
sure.
it's just there's always something going on. And I just want to make mention really quickly that I know because you're from the South Side, the big deal was going on the Metra and going downtown because we were a little too far
Yeah.
out to get on the red line. And
Yeah.
like the Metra goes right to us. So there's public transportation right to us. And um, people don't know
I
that.
did
Like
not
you
know
can,
that.
yeah, you can take the Metro
What's the
line.
stop?
Yeah, it's University Park,
Well,
right
pretty
off.
easy.
Yeah. And and the theater itself is a stadium seat type of theater, so there's no real bad seats because it's very shallow, despite having 1,165 seats. So it's you see everything. People come really because not only will it always be cheaper, but you'll always see better.
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen it from my own eyes. It's a wonderful space. And I was just reading a little bit as you're talking here about how many artists and touring companies you've had pass through. And it says about over 8,000. I mean, that's incredible. That's something to hang your hat on for sure.
Right, we're not a church basement. We actually do a ton of stuff. It's pretty cool.
Right. I never said you were, but
No, but I mean, like, I do think that there is kind of this idea. Like, I mean, growing up here, you either went to the Rialto or the casino in Joliet. So
yeah.
the idea that you can see something just as great and awesome and not pay $110 for like the worst seat, and for $110 here, you'll get the best seat and you'll get free parking. And we are surrounded, by a bunch of restaurants and places. I mean, you get off 57, but if you go to Lincoln Highway, you're surrounded in Madison by all of those restaurants. And if you go to Cremoni, I mean, there's lots of opportunity.
Well, and you can bring your whole family to a place like this and not break the bank like you will in other places. So fun either way. The website one more time for people to buy tickets.
It's centertickets.net. And our phone number, if you want to buy tickets, is it's area code 708-235-2500. 22 wait, say it again. Jane's in the background. I'm not going to pretend she's not. What is it?
That's fine.
708-235-2222.
708. It's got to be 222-2222, like the thing.
Oh
So
yeah.
seven zero
She
eight two
should
three
pop in and
five
say
twenty
hi
two
on the
twenty two.
camera.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Well, Scott, thank you so much for taking time to chat with me. I appreciate it, and congratulations on 29, and early congratulations on 30 years of this wonderful spot there at Governor State University.
Thanks so much, Tom, and thanks for taking the time to talk to us.